Megan, how aware are you of how we like to start this podcast?
I have no idea.
You've no idea? Okay.
No.
Excellent. No.
Okay.
So what we like to do is we like to sing in harmony together.
Okay.
And we want you to be the third harmony. So
You'll understand once we get going.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, so I'll start. Social media, social club.
Social media, social club.
Social media, social club.
That's the best one so far. That was the best one so far.
You're a natural, honey.
Amazing. Welcome to another episode of Social Media Social Club. My name is Josh.
My name is Hannah.
My name is Megan.
Oh, she goes.
Usually we have to tell people, we have to go, and this is Megan, but you did it.
No, I've listened to a few podcasts.
So you know.
I listened to one on the train to prep myself.
That's,
Get in the zone. Yeah.
that's so insights, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so you.
So Megan is Insights Manager.
Insights manager.
Insights Manager
Yes.
at Hydrogen.
A numbers gal, a data gal.
You want to tell us kind of why you want to talk to us about? We're talking about corporate jargon today. It's obviously a very contentious topic within the corporate sphere.
Yeah.
And some people...
Josh just used some jargon there before
I
we
did.
even into it. What's that, Adrian?
Nothing. I've actually got a little bingo card of jargon that I want to use throughout this episode.
What have you
As you'll
used
see
already?
here. So I've just used set expectations
Well done.
and touch base.
That's a favourite.
So that's
Okay.
a couple of good ones, I think, right out the way within
Yeah,
the first couple of minutes of the
straight off the bat.
podcast. So that's good. But so we wanted to ask you, like, what is it about corporate jargon that why did you want to talk to us about this today, basically?
So when I started Hydrogen, I'd only worked in marketing for 6 months or so I'm still relatively new to the industry.
Yep.
And when I joined marketing from uni, I felt like it's an entirely different world to like how you communicate. Even things as simple as like how you write an email. Like I remember when I was applying for this job and I messaged Ewan, who's my manager, and I was typing out my email and I was like, "Hi Ewan, blah blah blah." My friend was looking over and she was like, "That's not how you format an email," and like the two spaces and things like that. And I'm like, how does everyone just know this sort of stuff? I feel like it just doesn't
Yeah.
come naturally to me.
Yeah.
And then like you watch people who are like Nikki, like our MD or someone that just comes like so fluently to them, and I feel like I've stuck my foot in it so many times trying to use these terms and they just don't make sense because I'm
Yeah.
trying to use it to make myself like fit in a bit more. So I just sort of want to reassure people that it's okay not to have a clue.
Yeah, I think that is such the thing with it. It feels like people use this jargon and especially marketing language to like prove themselves and
Yeah.
to prove that they know what they're talking about. But actually, I find it really alienating. Like,
Yeah.
and I also can see right through it now because I've been in this industry
Yeah.
for a while. So I just feel
Yeah.
like you're just using language to hide the fact you don't know what you're talking about
Totally.
right now. And I think like, if you can actually just explain something in plain language, that actually really shows you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's just this way where it's like that's not acceptable to do.
Yeah.
So you know what you're talking about, but because you're not using the right words, people might think,
Yeah.
she's new to this.
Yeah.
And it ties in a lot, I think, with like imposter syndrome, like when
Yes.
you come into this role, because you're seeing people use these terms that come so naturally to them, and it's not even internal, like it's external. It's when you go to like watch presentations or
Yeah.
like webinars and things, and you're just thinking like, if this person wants to get their message across, why are they using language that isn't like so well known like externally? Because I think like the language we use like is very internal and like specific to us. So words such as like white paper or
Dex.
like decks, yeah. Like
That
I
went
think,
through
I think
me.
we can use them freely because we know people understand them here, but then I don't think I would give a presentation to like graduates and use those words because
Yeah.
they're not gonna know.
Yeah. If I say to my flatmate, "Oh, I'm working on a deck tonight," she's like,
Yeah.
"What?
Yeah.
Have you taken up a have you taken up a joinery course like in the sort of time in between? Like it doesn't mean anything to anyone. I just wanted to circle back to what you said.
You're so bad at them, Josh. You give us smirk every time. You're like, circle back.
Just wanted to circle back to what you were saying. You're not long in the corporate world, relatively speaking. Neither am I.
Yeah.
I think we like Hannah, you probably like been around the block with it a bit more than we have.
Oh, right.
We're the
I'm
same
like
age. We're the same age,
as you.
but like I just
just
ended
have
it
more
later.
experience.
But Hannah's more experienced than me, so.
But I did previously to hydrogen, I worked like exclusively in-house. So when you're working in-house, a lot of the time I was the marketing expert, so I could say whatever the hell I wanted to say. I could get away with it. And then starting at hydrogen, it wasn't so much people at hydrogen, but it was like clients, or like you're saying when you like go to a talk or you're talking to someone external and you're just like, what on earth have you just said? And you do feel really, really stupid. And I think it's what you're saying, imposter syndrome. Like I felt like that a lot when I started working with clients, because I was thinking, I don't actually know what they've just asked me. But what I like started to do really quickly working at hydrogen, because I realized like here we have such a like no bullshit attitude to like these kind of words and things, and we want to explain things better, is I just asked people. Because I think before, when I was younger, I would have just like ruminated over this, went home and cried all night, being like, I don't know what EOD means. And like it's just say to the person sitting next to you, do you know what that means? Half the time they'll be like, no, I don't. And then it needs to become a wider discussion, or you need to Google it. And it's often you Google it and it stands for 1,000 different things, and you need to like tailor it down to like marketing. And so many times there's an abbreviation that you're like, oh, I had another abbreviation that I thought meant that. And I think they're just, people are making new ones up all the time to try and like confuse and alienate more people and make themselves seem smarter. And I
think people like to feel like their office culture is unique and stuff like that, and that's becoming quite problematic as the more businesses like this exist. Like everyone's got their own slight takes, so like end of day, end of play, close of play.
Oh, don't even like
by
close
day's
of play.
end.
This is the one that I found out. I found this out 2 weeks ago, right? That close of play did not mean commencement of play. So there's so many
COP.
So many deadlines. I've been like, oh, I was really late for that because I thought it was.
I'll get that to you by the start of the day tomorrow.
Commencement of play. I was like, oh shit. And like, why is there 2 synonyms, 2 abbreviations for 5 p.m? We got end of play, close of play. But then WC means week commencing. So I'm like, and not week closing. So
true, Megan.
This is where
So you're saying the C should be universal. Now, guys, this is all very true. But also, I feel like we should present a positive case as to why this exists as well. We should we should see both sides to this debate and try and try and...
Well, like, there are definitely certain words that I don't really like the abbreviations, but there are certain words that I really love to use. And I hear myself saying them and I'm like, you sound so good. And I do really get into that. But I think there's certain words that I didn't use before I worked here that I now use, and I'm like, that's such a better way of explaining that. I've written some of them down.
Oh, nice.
Storytelling is the best word ever. I love that. Like,
people can't get enough of storytelling on LinkedIn.
Like,
I don't know that one.
Like the
you can't move for it.
storytelling, like the narrative. You know, it's a lovely way of just saying like just words.
I feel like narrative had a big moment pre-lockdown. And
narrative.
It's storytelling. You don't really hear about narrative anymore. You hear all about storytelling.
Narrative.
Yes,
they talk about narrative a lot.
I think it was actually
start storytelling.
Lemmy would always retweet articles that had the word narrative in the title, I noticed. And he would constantly go like, why is everyone saying this? Like, but it's just funny how like, it was like
a lot of trends with the words.
Oh but I think storytelling is very in just now, very in. But I'm worried we're about to reach the last days of Rome with storytelling.
I don't want to see it go. I feel like I'm just getting into it. Another one that I like, which will tie into your work, is sentiment, like brand sentiment. I feel like there's not really another way of explaining it. You need to use a lot of words to say like what people are saying about your brand, how they're feeling about your brand, like brand sentiment. It just sounds lovely because it sounds kind of like sentimental, which is another nice word. Authenticity. That's my big word. No, but that's my big like buzzword that I love to use because I talk a lot about TikTok.
I just finished a deck presentation today, yesterday, and the amount of times I said authenticity and it was just spectacular.
I would love to like pull our content, and this is like where my data brain comes in.
Here we go. And
then see what words, like put it into like a dashboard and see what words come up most frequently. Exclude like the and but. And then
can we please do that?
Yeah, that'd be good. Isn't it?
We'll post that to the Instagram when that's done.
Heard it here first.
Just have you? Oh, so you.
I've got a few more about that. One that I really, really like is using the word creative as a noun. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Like a creative.
Yeah, like
I am a creative.
Not a piece of
A
creative.
piece of creative.
Okay.
Rather than like, because I've always thought it as like, I am a creative person, or like you are creative.
More of a
when it's
verb.
like using it to describe something.
Can you send me that creative, please?
Yeah,
That kind of
I
thing.
love that.
Yeah.
That gives me a new way of saying things, actually, because I feel like when I'm doing monthly reports, I'll be like, oh, this post got X, or this piece of content, where I can say this creative.
Yeah,
You're probably the reportiest of the bunch here. You feel like you're aware of repeating yourself quite a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like
good to have a bigger vocabulary.
Yeah, I've got a whole roster of different ways to say an image. So I've got like a visual asset.
Oh,
or,
I love that one.
Yeah.
Image.
Yeah, or like a static.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everyone's got their own internal style guide of when to use image and when to use asset. Asset to me is like the thing that we've made together. Image is like the raw thing that we are putting into an asset and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I differentiate it. But everyone's got their own way.
Yeah, I do think it's the thing though where we all then, because we've all worked together for a while, we start to use the same kind of language when we're talking to people, but then when you do speak to someone external, you're a bit like, oh, but that's not how we use that word, so you feel kind of like thrown by that. I think we're all quite used to the words that we use and how we use them.
Yeah.
When I was researching this, like I was like, what are the major pros for it? And the thing that came up the most was like how it builds a sense of belonging and community, and like I was reading all the blog posts and I was just like, I just don't understand that. But until you've explained it there, I'm like, because when you do find, it can be sort of excluding at first, but when you do find your footing with it and you find yourself like throwing off, like you can't help but feel like you've made it somehow. Like,
I'm in the gang now. So speaking of that, see if you're like someone who's watching this and you're like brand new and you want to work in social media or like any kind of corporate thing. What advice would you give to someone who is maybe seeing all this and or like hearing all this and going, oh my God, this all sounds terrifying?
I would say just if there's something you don't understand, just ask. I think if you're in an environment where they don't encourage you to ask those questions, then it's maybe not the best for a graduate.
That's just such a red flag. I think like there should always be a culture like wherever you're working where you can ask questions, because otherwise someone's going to go off and do their own thing all the time. So like it literally saves time to just ask. Like
I done it when I started, and that's because of the whole no bullshit policy. Like I felt comfortable enough to ask these questions. Like I was on a call with Nikki and Ewan, so Nikki's MD here and Ewan's my boss, and they were saying ad hoc, and I was like, what is ad hoc? I was like, I have no idea what you are talking about. I didn't know if it was like falconry, like
just like a soup sachet, just ad hoc.
Like we're advertising.
You're like, oh, so we worked with falconry, we're doing some advertising. That makes sense. But
like now it's something that I'll use all the time
because you asked and now you know.
And like white paper as well. I was like, is this a Kindle? Like, is this for Kindles?
I actually knew white paper because I'd heard in the independence debate, they were talking about the white papers. Do you remember that? Like that was like a big thing they kept talking about. And then like years later, I was like, I know what that is.
Thanks. I'm sure you guys,
had
written your white paper and we're talking about it loads, and I was just like,
what is that? Even still, like I know what a white paper, but what actually, maybe I don't. So it's obviously like a big research piece on a white bit of paper.
It's not necessarily white. I mean, there was lots of colours used in mine. It's basically like a document that discusses legislation. It discusses like policy and stuff like that. It's more the topic. It's not so much like this is the law, or it's not, and it's not so much conversation. There can be.
No, but I mean, like just in this kind of scenario, not just in general coloured.
Yellow pages.
The yellow pages. That's enough.
Blueprints.
Great film.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good.
Red notice.
Good to know. Yeah.
Red notice.
Yeah, it could be. Could be on paper. Anyway. So I just wanted to quickly go to talk about the debate. I mean, we're obviously like slagging it quite a lot, and we're kind of saying like it's not great. I did look up an article to see if there was anything that like what's actually like the benefits of corporate jargon. And one of them was it creates a sense of community and adds clarity and removes unnecessary complexity. You've got quite a lot of research with you, Megan. Is there anything you'd like to share with us that you feel would be particularly pertinent to our listeners?
Just on the point you made there about how it makes it more clear and gives clarity. So I just think I would disagree with that point, because I think a lot of the time it's trying to like hide a point. And I don't think this is something that happens here, but I can understand like I've had friends where perhaps like the big wigs will come in and say something to them and they're like, I don't really understand what they're talking about. So I used ChatGPT, and I said to ChatGPT, can you translate this to corporate speak for me? And I said, between July and December 2022, we lost a lot of money. We'll need to pause hiring new members of staff to prevent redundancies. And then ChatGPT spit out, in H2 2022, our financial performance experienced significant losses. As a result, we must implement a strategic cost-saving measure to ensure operational efficiency and preserve the stability of our organisation. Consequently, we will be enacting a temporary hiring freeze, prioritising prudence and staffing decisions to mitigate the need for potential workforce reductions.
I feel a sense of community just listening to you say that.
Yeah, that's why.
It's like stability of organisation. Like you could be like, oh yeah, like so they're changing the infrastructure. They're putting scaffolding up. Like,
but I just feel like in our field, nothing's like super urgent that I can't say like end of day instead of EOD.
Yeah.
You know, like I understand there might be like certain industries where you urgently need to say something in the quickest way possible. And like if it's like code over like something, or like, you know, like things like that, but it's like, oh, you maybe don't want people to overhear what you're saying, so you need to use code.
Like, I mean, if you're on the operating table, you're not going to say something like, you know, oh, let's not beat around the bush, people, come on. Like, you're just going to say, give me the scalpel. Like, I don't know. That was a bad analogy, but
I know what you meant.
It's like, when I was looking up like what sort of industries use it the most, it came up saying like marketing, finance, and consulting sort of use it most frequently. But then I think maybe like coming back to imposter syndrome, people in marketing use it a lot because also a lot of the times our jobs are sort of undermined, like people won't really get them, so maybe we use it particularly on LinkedIn and things to sort of prove ourselves where it's not really needed, to try and make the job seem more like technical.
That's so true, because when people ask me what I do, like a lot of the time I'll be like, oh, like TikTok and stuff like that, and you feel kind of like silly saying that, when if I had a chat GPT version of that to like spiel off, people would be like, God, that's so impressive. But I think there's so much to our job that like you don't even like say when you're explaining what your job is.
I think that I was gonna say about that insecurity thing, I think that's probably true. Like I do like, because you know what it's like when you're at a family kind of gathering and stuff like that. My dad still checks in with me about what my job is sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And it could like, but then I don't know what a circular saw is. I don't know, like.
Oh, I'm sure you could guess.
Dude, I could guess, like, but there'll be. I do know what that is, but like, there'll be lots of things that he says and does, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like filament, what's that?
Oh,
right.
Do
you know what I mean? So like,
circular saw was a bit of jargon, and I was trying to think. I was like, what?
Where the circular saw
when you circle back to
So I think he's like a joiner.
So he's an electrician. Yeah. So he's a tradesman kind of thing. So he says all this stuff, and I'm like, what does any of that mean? But now he knows how it feels. When I say deck, I'm like, old man.
Yes.
You don't know what that is, do you?
Oh, do you feel like you can impress your parents and like show them that you kind of
Well, I feel really embarrassed saying the jargon in front of them. Like I don't really feel like I can ever get away with it.
Do you ever catch yourself like accidentally saying it in front of friends, and then you're like, oh, I feel sick. Like, I can't believe I've just said that in front of people that don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't think my parents even thought the word ideation in their entire lives.
Oh God.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's.
I'm trying to avoid the boffin stereotype. Have you heard of a boffin?
No.
So it's like something.
Is that Professor Frink from The Simpsons kind of character?
Who's he in The Simpsons again?
The one with
the glasses,
the opaque glasses.
The scientist.
Yeah, like a nerd.
Yeah. Like someone who's like just gone to uni, and then I don't know. I need to actually Urban Dictionary it, but it's just basically someone who thinks they're on like a different level because they've gone to uni and got a degree and like are using their degree.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the definition of boffin right here.
Thanks for that.
Because we find out it's a totally different words.
Yes.
What I've just said.
No, I think you're right.
I think like what you're saying about explaining your job and stuff, part of the thing with getting into marketing is like understanding the jargon and like the job ads themselves. Because for me, like when I applied for this job, it was an insights executive, and I'm like, okay, executive, like top, like, you know what I mean? Whereas like it flips, and like an executive's like entry level. And then
you're like, so I'm going to be running the place.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, cool. Where do I sign? But then like someone who's like chief executive of fun would be like have like 10 years more experience than you or something. You're like, how does that translate?
I often read job descriptions, or like I'll see something come in and I'll think, I don't know what that is. Like I feel like totally thrown, that I have no idea how to do that, and then someone will explain it to me and I'm like, oh, that's just new words for what I do every day. And I'm like, I've been doing that for years, but I've just never seen it explained with those words. So that's where it becomes quite confusing. I think it'd be amazing if we could get to a point where like entry level jobs just don't have jargon. Like when you're laying that out and you're aiming it at someone from uni or even that's not went to uni, and you're just laying it out as, you will be posting posts on social media. You'll be telling a designer what that post should look like.
I guarantee it would have so much more interest as well.
Because you would actually understand what it is that you're going to do.
Is that the kind of like gatekeeping thing where like it's deliberately like meant to deter people? Like
but then I think that's where it comes into. I think that's where it gets like a bit unfair, and it's not really inclusive.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of problems in marketing where you need to either have money to create time to create a really interesting like cover letter that gets the attention, and obviously people from working class backgrounds can't really do that. Same with like myself. I come from a working class background. Like my mum's a nurse, my dad's was a taxi driver most of my life. So like they've not taught me what these words. I've not overheard them on the phone talking about this.
Yeah.
So when I see that on a job advert, I'm like, I don't know like where to go. Whereas it might come more naturally to people who have more like white collar.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I wouldn't.
They've just grown up around it, and it feels.
I wouldn't have said I'm working class, but I definitely felt that like coming into stuff because my mum and dad did not have jobs like that at all, and I feel like I noticed so much the difference between my friends who did have parents who did that kind of stuff. Because they just plug in really easily
and help them write their CVs. And
right. Well, exactly. And like my parents couldn't really do that. Do you know what I mean? So like it was like you had to figure out a lot of stuff for yourself, and it takes a lot longer.
Yeah, it's like low level nepotism, really.
Yeah, and that's such a minor version. What if like you have like a disability or something like that as well? Like, there's all sorts of different accessibility things.
Yeah, so like coming from like a working class background, that obviously has its hindrances. Or if English isn't your first language, or even now with like workplaces becoming so accessible or trying to be accessible to neurodivergent people, if you maybe have autism, you take things quite literally, then like if you hear the phrase, oh, we're not going to teach you how to suck eggs, you'd be like, what? Like, it's just so like you need to put yourself in the shoes of people who
you need to put yourselves in the shoes of people who actually might be reading the job applications instead of someone at your level when you're writing it.
Because if you have like a diversity team, then it needs to start from like ground level of like hiring and like how the job ad would come across to people. Like I think that's means more than like putting like a virtue signaling post out that maybe might be like, like Happy Pride Month, like
100%.
I think so much of it is like agencies trying to put across like we're such a cool place to work, and it's like a cool place to work would be one that just like explains what the job is.
Maybe what's the door, it's a cool place to work.
It's like all of that kind of like jargony, like just stuff that just doesn't mean anything, like what you're saying about sucking eggs. It's like that doesn't mean anything. Can you just tell me what I actually need to know about this job? And then you can put a wee list of benefits at the end.
I think that's a good place to wrap up the main portion of the podcast. How you feel at this stage, Megan? You having fun?
Yes, having fun.
Megan, could you explain your game?
Okay, so
guests don't normally come with their own games.
Well,
this is our most prepared guest
because I was thinking, I was like I don't really like talking about like the ins and outs of my job to my mum or to my dad, because I'm like they're not going to understand what I'm talking about in the kindest way possible, because why would they? When I'm using terms like this, or like the words and stuff. So I sent my mum a list of words or jargon. Jargon in itself is jargon. Let's just say
the irony.
Words. Let's just say language. So I sent my mum a list of my least favourite office language and asked her to see if she would be able to translate it.
Okay.
She's gotten back to me this year.
We have Google Translate on the phone.
Okay. It looks like...
What's your mum's name so we can give her a shout out?
It's Jo.
Hello,
Hi,
Jo.
So, I sent EOP. She said end of play. I told her she can't Google them. So
that's good. For context as well, your mum is a nurse.
She's a nurse, yeah.
Okay, so some might apply.
Okay, some might apply.
Jo 1, jargon nil so far.
Let's see if the working class can rise. Boil the ocean. She said, do the impossible.
Yep.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to ask a question. What does that one mean?
That's what that means. It does mean like an overly kind of...
Making it more complicated.
They're asking us to boil the ocean. I think it means like you're asking us to do way too much, basically, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make a job project unnecessarily difficult. So what did she say again?
Do the impossible.
Oh, so
fair.
I'd give her that.
Half point.
Jo 2, jargon nil.
Ducks in a row. She said, but I actually do like ducks in a row. But,
that's all right. It's cute.
Organised and proactive. And then
I'll give her that one too.
Blue sky thinking. Oh, she actually mixed it up with about the answer is jargon in itself. She said light bulb moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to give her that one.
Yeah, fair. She's had the V already, so.
Yeah, she's done too well.
3-1 to Joe.
This is actually my favourite response that she's put. Low-hanging fruit, which I hate in a work environment, but I like using it if someone tells a crap joke. You're like, oh, come on, that was a bit too easy. Yeah. So she said, leaving yourself exposed.
I mean, certainly one type of low-hanging fruit. It's a different kind of fruit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Teaching you to suck eggs, she said, telling you something you already know.
That's quite a classic phrase.
Yeah. And then she replies, no idea about COP and skin in the game. So we're from Aberdeen, so.
Nice.
Does she not know it's commencement of play?
Well, you know, clearly I'm a mother's daughter because, you know, I didn't know that either.
Skin in the game, I don't like that at all.
I think she did really well.
Yeah, she did.
I think well done, Joe.
Yeah.
What was that, 3-2 overall?
4-3. 4-3
She said answer to.
The answer to, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it 4.
Yeah.
You're like me on games.
So it was a stalemate, is what you're saying?
Yeah, just for some context, like, Megan is our resident game maker.
Yeah.
In charge of quiz nights.
It should have came as no surprise that
she would bring out a game,
yeah. Oh yeah, that's so true.
That's so you, Megan.
I won't let a point slide.
Yeah. I want to say thanks to you for playing Joe versus Jargon, but thanks to us.
Yeah.
Really. Thanks to you for bringing it.
I like that title.
Can I just say?
Run it up the flagpole and see if people salute.
Oh, that's a shocker, man. That's a stinker.
That's so bad, isn't it?
Moon on a stick is one of the worst
really
ones I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I feel like this isn't jargon
anymore. They want the moon on a stick.
Stories.
Yeah.
Like, that is, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed if you say moon on a stick. Okay, Hannah, what were you going to say?
Right, so this is my example of one where I didn't ask for more information. So I have been thinking this the whole time that I've worked here until just a few weeks ago when Lindsay said to me, "What did you just say?" And then I repeated it.
It's so funny.
So, for accessibility, it's important in hashtags that if you're using multiple words in hashtags, you put capital letters for all of the words.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's called?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it's called?
Camel case.
So, people always say it fast like that. So I always just thought it was called camel case because it was that you didn't want your words to blend together like they were in
camouflage case.
But it's camel case because it's like the humps or the capital letters or something. But I always thought it was like, oh, we don't want all these words to camouflage in together. And then Lindsay was like, what did you just say? And then I was like, why?
Did you say it with your chest?
Yeah. I was like, camel case?
I never thought about why camel case is camel case. I just was like, okay, that's what it is. And then just moved on in my life.
So that's just like, just a reminder to just
I mean, you're still like, how long in marketing?
Very long. Very long.
Very, very long.
Yeah.
Very long. Still made a very simple mistake. I'm just kidding.
This is now worse than when Lindsay pulled me up about it. So thanks for that. So that's just a reminder. Please just ask because you will embarrass yourself further down the line. Better to embarrass yourself today
than tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today's Phil is tomorrow's genius. And that is the end of the show, my friends. Megan, do you have anything you want to plug before you go?
What, like?
Just something you like, something you think is good.
Saving and Rehoming Strays, they're based out in Ayrshire. They fly over dogs from Europe who might have been treated badly and look to give them new homes, but they have amazing social medias and they're very active and there's loads of cute dogs in there that you should follow.
Brilliant. I'll put the social media up here.
Gorgeous
there we go.
Plug.
Right, that's the end of the show, guys. Thanks very much, Megan, for coming on the show. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hannah. Thanks.
See you later. See you next time. Bye.